In this video, I'll talk about the Hitachi NR1890 Brushless 18V Framing Nailer. I'll go through my first impressions, the features and functions available on the tool, and I'll also put it through some tests throughout the video. I've only used this tool on one project so far, that was the storage rack for my sheet materials, which I built for my lock-up storage space. This nailer is a relatively new product, and at the moment there's only one other battery-operated framing nailer available. That is the DeWalt NR1890 18V Brushless. And that nailer has similar functions and features to the Hitachi. The main benefit of using a battery-operated framing nailer is the convenience. The two alternatives to battery-operated nailers are pneumatic nailers, which means that you're working while tethered to a hose which is connected up to an air compressor, or gas nailers, which require replaceable gas cartridges, which obviously cost money, require cleaning and maintenance, and they let off some smelly gas fumes. The Hitachi nailer is kind of a battery-operated and pneumatic hybrid, as it has a compressed air cylinder built into the tool which is sealed, so no chance of any dust or dirt getting inside, and when you pull the trigger, the compressed air is released, driving a piston down to strike the nail into the wood, and all of that is driven by a brushless motor for great performance, lifespan, and also better battery efficiency. Apparently you can fire up to 400 nails using one of the Hitachi 3A batteries. If you need more runtime, you can obviously use the bigger batteries available from Hitachi. Loading the nails is easy, you just slot them inside and pull back this trigger which pushes the nails forward, allowing them to feed. To operate the nailer you use the power button. Hold it down for about a second and the blue light comes on. There's also a function button here. When the blue light is on, the nailer is in single fire mode. If you press the function button, the blue light will flash, meaning that the nailer is in bump fire mode. It also has a battery indicator button, which unfortunately only has two lights, so it's not ideal for accurately knowing how much juice is left in the battery, but that's not a major issue, for me anyway. After 30 minutes of no use, the nailer automatically switches itself off to conserve battery power. Obviously you can also turn it off manually using the power button. There's also a safety lock switch on the handle, which is great for making sure that the nailer doesn't fire accidentally while you're carrying it around in a bag, for example. It also has an integrated hook, which seems a bit on the bulky side to me. You could hang this from a 4-inch beam, which might be useful for some, but I think it would have been nice to see Hitachi include an optional smaller hook in the package so that you could swap it over. This one really isn't ideal for putting on your belt, for example. It's just too big, so it's going to twist around. For any jams, you do need an Allen key in order to open up the front and remove any blockages. I've not had any issues with jamming, and to be honest, I think it's very unlikely that jamming on a modern nailer like this would be an issue. I expect that would be quite a rare occurrence. It's capable of firing nails between 50mm and 90mm in length, which is pretty much standard for framing nailers, I think. It also has a safety feature to avoid accidental firing. The trigger needs to be pressed within 2 seconds of pressing down the nailer head in single fire mode, and in bump fire mode it's vice versa, i.e. the nailer head needs to be pressed down within 2 seconds of holding the trigger. So here are my first impressions of the nailer. Firstly, it's very powerful. The first thing I did when I got it out of the box is I loaded in the nails, added a battery, and I fired a nail through a 20mm thick, relatively short piece of pine, and the nail actually went through the wood, out the other side, and it split the piece of wood clean in two. I've also tried it in some denser hardwoods like oak, and it drives nails in fully as you'd hope, so it certainly doesn't lack power. And I also tried it in some mahogany. I did try to fire some of these nails into a really thick piece of oak, and it couldn't manage that. But generally you're going to be using a framing nailer for construction projects anyway, using softwoods like spruce and pine, and I guess the key point here is that it's more than powerful enough for that. There is a depth adjustment knob on the front, so you can set the power of the nailer according to which size nails you're using and how far you want to drive them in. The nailer is also incredibly fast. You can drive 2 nails per second. Here you can see I'm using this in bump fire mode. It's also quite heavy. It weighs just over 4 kilograms, and that's without a battery. It's also a bit bigger than most pneumatic framing nailers. But for me, I think that's a fair trade-off, because you get the convenience of using a battery-operated tool and not being tethered to a cord or having to use replaceable gas cartridges. It's also worth pointing out that Hitachi has lighter batteries compared with its competitors because they use less cells for the same amount of power. If you're thinking of using this tool for longer periods of time, perhaps all day, or particularly if you're using the nailer above your head height, then you should definitely consider the extra weight of a battery operated nailer, and you might want to consider using a pneumatic one because they tend to be lighter. So my experience so far with this tool is very positive. I've really enjoyed using it and it's comfortable to hold and use. I've not had too much experience using framing nailers in the past, as generally I don't do a lot of construction projects, but I really look forward to doing some in the future and making use of this nailer again. If I could go back in time to when I built my workshop extension, my shed, and the pallet wood shed that I made for my friend, this tool would have made those projects much quicker and easier. That's it for this one. I'll include a link in the description box below if you want to check out the nailer. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, I put out videos every week on a Friday, usually build videos, but also the occasional tool review like this one. And also I do a vlog video every couple of months or so. Please subscribe if you'd like to see more, and thank you for watching.